The Southern Poverty Law Center labeled Moms for Liberty as an extremist group and placed it on a hate map alongside the KKK. Does that make any sense? Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. The U.S. is facing a clash of ideas in the classroom. Many conservatives are fighting the spread of what they call the indoctrination of critical race theory and gender theory in schools. They're backing bills that give parents more power in public schools. And this includes restrictions on LGBTQ instruction and school books that aren't, quote, age appropriate, as well as critical race theory and curricula. Among those supporting these measures is a group called Moms for Liberty. They've been making waves in the culture wars by doing things like pushing for school board firings and putting their support behind legislation like the Florida Parental Rights in Education bill, the one opponents dubbed Don't Say Gay. Many people on the left don't like Moms for Liberty, but the Southern Poverty Law Center, a left-leaning hate group watchdog, has taken its distaste to a whole new level. In its 2022 Year in Hate and Extremism report, SPLC labeled Moms for Liberty extremists and placed them on its extremist group hate map alongside the KKK and other white supremacist groups. So, who are these moms? Well, first of all, they're not just moms. According to them, the group includes dads, grands, aunts, uncles, and friends. Moms for Liberty was founded by former school board members Tiffany Justice and Tina Descovich in January 2021 at the height of the pandemic. The group initially focused on protesting mask and vaccine mandates, but has expanded its focus to include countering critical race theory and gender theory in school curricula and libraries. While it's technically nonpartisan, it largely attracts conservative women. According to the group's Twitter account, they have 285 chapters spread across 45 states and a membership of more than 120,000 and growing. And they've got a surprising amount of influence for their size. Both Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis are slated to talk at their annual gathering later this month. Their stated mission is fighting for the survival of America by unifying education and empowering parents to defend their parental rights at all levels of government, which they accomplish by doing things such as holding leaders accountable and spreading awareness, which sounds like every other political nonprofit organization out there. But the SPLC has labeled Moms for Liberty as an anti-government extremist group. Moms for Liberty's website states one way they fight is by opposing government overreach. They also wear shirts and carry signs that read, "We do not co-parent with the government." I guess I can see how that might sound anti-government. The SPLC defines anti-government extremists as groups that see the federal government as an enemy of the people and promote baseless conspiracy theories. And they claim that Moms for Liberty fits the bill since they oppose government overreach and stand against Marxist indoctrination in schools, which is, according to the SPLC, a baseless conspiracy theory. The SPLC doesn't say that Moms for Liberty is a hate group, but it's very obvious that the SPLC wants people to lump them with hate groups. And it seems to be working. In a broader sense, SPLC tries to connect hate groups and anti-government extremist groups by saying that they make up the extreme edge of America's hard right that's inherently anti-democratic. So, does Moms for Liberty deserve this new label? I'll tell you more after the break. Welcome back. The Southern Poverty Law Center has labeled Moms for Liberty an extremist group. Moms for Liberty isn't the only group that SPLC called out, though. The watchdog labeled a whole bunch of other parental rights groups as extremists, too. So, are they extremists? The SPLC says that Moms for Liberty is part of an anti-student inclusion movement that targets any inclusive curriculum that contains discussions of race, discrimination, and LGBTQ identities. According to the SPLC, their goal is to make the world a less comfortable, less safe place for those who are Black, LGBTQ, or those who come from LGBTQ families. And the SPLC has examples to back them up. After all, Moms for Liberty sought to ban a Martin Luther King Jr. book in Tennessee. Okay, actually, they objected to the lessons surrounding the MLK Jr. book, not just the book itself, saying that the classroom books and teacher manuals reveal both explicit and implicit anti-American, anti-white, and anti-Mexican teaching. They also thought some of the images in the book were inappropriate for second graders because they depicted police spraying protesters with fire hoses. I'm not sure any of that counts as banning a book, but that's not all they did. They also attacked the book Genderqueer, which they said was about the book's sexually explicit images, not the LGBTQ content. And again, they only wanted the book removed from school libraries, which is not the same thing as a ban. But they also showed up alongside the Proud Boys at multiple protests. So I guess just being near the Proud Boys is enough to make them extreme. Are they becoming extreme by osmosis? The SPLC argues that the push for parental rights and family values is no different from rallying cries adopted by those who opposed school desegregation during the Civil Rights Movement. And to be fair, they're not the only ones with complaints about Moms for Liberty. Left-leaning Media Matters for America argues that parental rights means strategically harassing public schools and says there was a rise in harassment of school administrators around the same time Moms for Liberty started. Or, as Vice put it, Moms for Liberty is literally terrorizing schools in the name of protecting kids. Those who are inclined to think like that point to specific cases, such as the time when a Moms for Liberty leader allegedly threatened gun violence against librarians, except that the alleged threat was an angry comment made in a closed-door meeting, not an actual threat. Or the time an affiliated member of a local school board allegedly stated he would show up at his son's teacher's doorstep with a gun if the teacher came out as transgender. The school board member claims he actually said, "Given how understandably agitated he was, I applaud this father for making the right choice to write an email instead of pick up a gun," after a parent contacted him about a transitioning teacher. Or the time when a leader of a local Moms for Liberty chapter allegedly hijacked a dead woman's Facebook page to harass foes, which, to be fair, what the dead woman's Facebook page said was actually pretty aggressive. That's just weird. So Moms for Liberty has a lot to answer for, at least according to its opponents. Some even argue that Moms for Liberty are warriors for white patriarchy and Christofascism, even though the leaders include non-white women. So certainly there's a lot of hullabaloo surrounding the group. Conservatives, of course, weren't thrilled with the SPLC's label and rallied behind Moms for Liberty, saying that it's a good example of parents protecting their children. Meanwhile, Moms for Liberty dismissed SPLC's label as ridiculous. Co-founder Justice asked why parents asking questions and advocating for their fundamental parental rights is such a threat. So how seriously should we take the SPLC's claims? I'll tell you after the break. Welcome back. So how seriously should we take the SPLC's hate map and list? Keep in mind that the SPLC has a habit of labeling well-established conservative organizations such as the Family Research Council, Alliance Defending Freedom, and others as hate groups, which has encouraged attacks on those groups. The SPLC also tends to overhype how much hate there is in the U.S. It's in its interest to do so. One of the ways it did this is recently by changing the way it reported. The SPLC has only combined anti-government extremist groups with hate groups since 2021. Before that, in 2020, there was a declining number of hate groups, according to the SPLC's own data. Anti-government groups used to be its own distinct category, but SPLC argued that anti-government groups and hate groups converged around a willingness to engage in political violence and deny legally established rights to historically oppressed groups. It also explained away the decline of hate groups by saying the extremist ideas that mobilize them now operate more openly in the political mainstream. Extremist organizing doesn't need to take place in fringe hate groups when right-wing extremist narratives circulate wildly and their proponents hold real institutional and social power. And it's clear the SPLC is inflating its numbers. This includes adding a whole bunch of Moms for Liberty chapters as separate entries and lists rather than one big group. The same goes for different branches of other groups like U.S. Parents Involved in Education, Parents' Rights in Education, and Parents Involved in Education. It also includes a bunch of groups opposed to LGBTQ promotion that aren't in the fringe. As for those that may have a stronger case for being called hateful, some are just small fry who don't really pose much of a threat. For example, CarolineYeager.net, classified as anti-Semitic, seems to be just a blog run by a woman named Caroline Yeager. And the leader of Rushiv.com, which once hosted a group called Return of Kings that was allegedly male supremacist, seems to have repented after converting to Russian Orthodox Christianity, but their website is still on their list. As for Luxor Couture, the SPLC doesn't give any information about what the group is, and the only thing visible from an online search is an African fashion boutique. It's hard to really take the SPLC seriously when it's so eager to make its list as big as possible and lump non-fringe conservative organizations and actual hate groups like the KKK and neo-Nazis. Even some on the left realize how the SPLC loves to exaggerate threats. So, what do you think of Moms for Liberty? Leave your comments below. And remember that we rely mainly on direct support from viewers like you. If you want to help us deliver nonpartisan news, all it takes is as little as $1 per episode over on our crowdfunding website, Patreon. Visit patreon.com/AmericaUncovered for more. Click the link below. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.